Brazil's World Cup nightmare start. How Vini Jr. saved them from disaster versus Morocco. Five-time world champions, the most feared attack on the planet, and after just 21 minutes, they were already losing. Brazil, the team everyone expected to roll through the group stage, walked into MetLife Stadium and almost walked straight into a disaster. But one man, wearing the number 7, had other plans. This is the story of how Vinicius Jr. single-handedly stopped Brazil's World Cup opener from becoming a national embarrassment, and why what happened in this match should terrify every Brazilian fan watching at home. Welcome back to Football Atlas. If you love deep dives into the biggest moments in football history, make sure you're subscribed, because today we're breaking down one of the most dramatic openers of the entire 2026 World Cup. Let's set the scene. Group C of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The match, Brazil versus Morocco. The location, MetLife Stadium in the New York, New Jersey area, one of the biggest stages in world football. On paper, this looked like a statement match for Brazil, a chance for Carlo Ancelotti's new-look Seleção to show the world they meant business in their first World Cup appearance under the legendary Italian coach. On the other side, Morocco, the same Morocco that stunned the world for reaching the semi-finals of the previous World Cup in Qatar. Not an easy draw at all, but still, most pundits expected Brazil to control this game from start to finish. That is, not what happened. Before we get into how this game completely flipped on its head, drop a comment below telling us, do you think Brazil can still win this World Cup after a start like this? We read every single comment and we want to know what you think. Now, let's get into it. For the first half hour of this match, Brazil looked like a team with World Cup jitters, and honestly, that's putting it kindly. Morocco came out aggressive, organized, and hungry. From the very first whistle, they pressed high, they controlled possession, and they created chance after chance. Brazil's defense, usually one of their biggest strengths, looked shaky, disconnected, and a step slow. And then, in the 21st minute, it happened. Brahim Diaz, playing a beautiful through ball, found space behind Brazil's center-back pairing of Gabriel and Marquinhos. The ball found its way to Ismael Saibari, the PSV forward, who calmly chipped the ball over goalkeeper Ederson with a finish so smooth it looked like he'd practiced it 1,000 times. It was a stunning, world-class goal that put Morocco ahead. MetLife Stadium erupted, but not with the cheers Brazilian fans had traveled thousands of miles to give. Suddenly, the script was flipped. Brazil, the favorites, the five-time champions, the team with arguably the most talented front line in the entire tournament, were behind. And not just behind on the scoreboard, they were behind on the run of play, behind on confidence, and behind on composure. For the next several minutes, things didn't get better. Morocco kept pushing. Achraf Hakimi, the Moroccan fullback known for his blistering pace, came agonizingly close to doubling the lead. Brazil's back line was scrambling. Commentators were already starting to whisper the word that no Brazilian fan wants to hear in a World Cup opener: crisis. So how does a team with this much talent, players worth hundreds of millions of dollars combined, find themselves on the verge of losing their tournament opener to a team many had written off after qualifying drama of their own? The answer lies in nerves, real, human World Cup nerves. This is where Vini Jr. enters the story. If you've followed Brazilian football over the last few years, you know Vini Jr.'s journey hasn't always been smooth. He's faced intense criticism, racist abuse on and off the pitch, and the enormous pressure of being labeled the next great Brazilian superstar. That label comes with comparisons to legends like Pelé, Ronaldo, and Ronaldinho. That's not an easy shadow to play under. But in this moment, down 1-0, with the entire weight of a nation's expectations crushing down on Brazil's shoulders, Vinicius Jr. decided this was his moment to shine. Picking up the ball in space, Vini Jr. drove forward with that explosive pace that has become his trademark at Real Madrid. He cut inside, shifted his weight, beat a defender, and unleashed a strike that left the goalkeeper with absolutely no chance. The ball ripped into the net, 1-1. MetLife Stadium shook. Brazilian fans who had gone silent for nearly half an hour suddenly found their voice again. On the bench, you could see the relief wash over the entire coaching staff. It was a brilliant, individual solo goal, exactly the kind of moment Brazil needed to salvage a point in their opener. This wasn't just a goal, this was a statement, a reminder to the world, and maybe to Brazil themselves, that no matter how poorly things are going, this team has the individual brilliance to change a game in a single moment. The second half told a very different story than the first. The intensity dropped, partly due to fatigue, partly due to the heat affecting both squads. Neither team created the kind of clear-cut chances we saw in that chaotic opening period. The match settled into a tense, cagey affair, with both sides seemingly content to avoid further mistakes rather than chase a winner.
When the final whistle blew, the scoreboard read 1-1. A draw, points shared between two of the strongest teams in this World Cup. For Morocco, the 2022 semi-finalists, this was a fantastic result. A point against five-time champions Brazil on the road in their World Cup opener, that's a result they'll happily take. But for Brazil, the reaction was far more complicated. And here's where Football Atlas has to say something that might be controversial. This result should worry Brazilian fans far more than people are admitting. Yes, Vinicius Jr. bailed them out. Yes, a draw against a quality Morocco side isn't a disaster on paper, but let's be honest about what we actually saw in that first half. Brazil, a team loaded with attacking talent like Vinicius, Rafinha, and other world-class names, looked completely lost defensively. They were outworked, outmuscled, and outthought by Morocco for the first 30 minutes of the match. After the game, even head coach Carlo Ancelotti didn't try to hide it. He admitted that the team looked anxious and nervous early on, with the nerves clearly affecting how they played in the first half, though he said the second half was a step in the right direction. Vinicius himself was refreshingly honest, too. He said the team started the match on a really bad note, and that going forward they need to hold on to the ball better and move it around with more confidence. Think about that for a second. The star player of the match, the man who literally saved Brazil from a losing start, is publicly saying the team's performance wasn't good enough. That's not the energy of a team that's confident in their World Cup chances. That's the energy of a team that knows they got away with something. Here's our take at Football Atlas. This match exposed something that Brazilian fans have quietly worried about for years, a defensive structure that simply isn't on the same level as the attacking talent. When you have Vinicius Jr., Rafinha, and other elite forwards, it's easy to assume the goals will come and cover up any cracks. But football at the World Cup level is unforgiving. Eventually, against a team that doesn't waste their first-half chances the way Morocco's opponents might in a different match, those defensive lapses are going to cost Brazil more than just a draw. They're going to cost them a result they can't recover from. And there's another angle here that doesn't get talked about enough: the mental side of this Brazil squad. Ancelotti himself pointed to the nerves affecting his players. This is a golden generation of talent that has now gone years and multiple major tournaments without lifting the World Cup trophy. The pressure on this group isn't just about winning a single match. It's about an entire nation's expectations, built up over decades, resting on players who are clearly feeling the weight of that history. Vinicius Jr.'s goal was brilliant, make no mistake about that, but brilliant individual moments can only paper over team-wide issues for so long. If Brazil wants to go all the way in this tournament, they need more than moments of magic from their superstar. They need to fix what went wrong in that first half: the disorganization, the nerves, the lapses in concentration that gifted Morocco a goal they didn't have to work too hard for. The good news for Brazil, it's still early. This is just one match in the group stage, and a draw, especially one rescued by a goal of that quality, keeps them very much alive in this tournament. Vinicius himself said the goal now is simply to qualify from the group, move forward into the next round, and keep improving as the tournament goes on. That's a realistic, grounded mindset, and if the team can actually follow through on it, there's still plenty of time to turn things around. But the warning signs are there, and if Brazil's defense doesn't tighten up and fast against their next opponents, Vinicius Jr. might not always be there to bail them out. So, that's our breakdown of one of the most dramatic openers of this World Cup. Brazil escaped with a point, thanks entirely to one moment of brilliance from Vinicius Jr. But the cracks that were exposed in that first half are going to follow this team into their next match. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that subscribe button right now because Football Atlas is covering every single match of this World Cup with deep analysis just like this. Drop a like if you think Brazil needs to make changes before their next game, and let us know in the comments, do you think this Brazilian squad has what it takes to win the whole tournament, or is this just the beginning of a much bigger problem? Thanks for watching Football Atlas. We'll see you in the next one.